I'm sounding like one of the wankers at UFC.
You did?
Yes,
Did you go to UFC?
Oh, I don't know about that. Hey, welcome, ladies and gents, 2025. Axon, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and whatever other platform you're viewing us on is live again. Look at this setup.
Live and in a different spot.
Mate, this is the first time that we've actually done a live inside this studio.
Yeah.
The one we did last time was at Christmas, which was out there because this wasn't ready.
Yep.
And
Under
we're
construction.
here literally for the first time ever.
Look at
Loving
that sign.
it.
Looking
Mate,
pretty schmick.
So good. Well done, Daniel. Well done, Kieran. Well done, Keelan. Geez, there's one for you. Kieran and Keelan in the same bloody department. But yeah, welcome to 2025. Hey, I remember signing off saying, please have a good Christmas break. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I'd love to know, what did everyone do in the Christmas breaks? So to go ahead and use the chat. Angie Paradise has already said, hey, friends in there. She's coming to you live and uninterrupted from downtown Palm Beach here on the Gold Coast. And yes, I'd love to know what everyone did during the Christmas break. I can't believe it's February already.
Yeah, it's flying. Absolutely flying.
Christmas felt like it was last week, and now we're bloody, halfway through February soon.
Yeah.
Footy season starts soon, though, which is good.
Go Giants. We're going to come back and get it.
Oh, yes, good man. I like it. You're an AFL fan. So, yeah, tap away in the chat there. I'd love to know what everyone did for Christmas and where you guys are dialing in from. Hey, this is all about ADF Property. So there's a bunch of other stuff we do here at Axon, but tonight is specifically about the whole property space. So what's going on finance-wise, what's going on interest rates-wise, what's going on building houses-wise, research-wise, bloody any other wise you want to talk about. Hey, but tell the world, what did you and Amana and your family do over the Christmas break?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it was the first Christmas in a long time that we didn't travel, and we just got to experience the Gold Coast at Christmas time. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, people save up their whole life to come here for a family holiday.
Yep.
So we bloody live here, which is great. You know what? Pretty similar for me. I tapped down to Sydney just quickly to see a mate of mine who's heading off to JSOC headquarters in the States for a couple of years. So it was good to go and do a quick little farewell with him. And yeah, it was just good, mate. You just woke up at like whenever time, maybe went and did a bit of exercise or not.
4 a.m. when the kids wake up?
It's 10 a.m. It's warm. I'm hopping in the pool. Crack one. Diet Coke, whatever that is. That's mate, it was bloody excellent. I loved it. What about new postings? I'd love to know. Hey, I was just about to say, Rob Johnson, thank you so much. You're inside my OODA brother, as usual. Who's got some new postings that they've had this year? Yeah. So we know the whole Christmas and New Year period, Ryan, for you and I in our respective very long and distinguished military careers.
One of us.
Christmas time is posting time. So I'd love to know where you're now dialing in from and what your new posting is like. Let us know.
We sort of posted.
Yeah, we did.
From Southport to here.
We did.
A bit of a posting.
Yes, we got it. We moved away from the riffraff at Southport and then ran headfirst into some riffraff here. But that's a story for another time. Hey, but let's bring up one thing. Let's almost like jump to the bottom. I'm sorry, we do have a list of stuff. We're like, oh, what have we done over the last month? I'm like, and then we're just we've got a bunch of awesome stuff to pass on to you, and really open up some conversations. So use the chat as much as you can, please. I'd love to know. Let's bounce some ideas off each other. I forgot what I was about to say then. That doesn't really matter. But yeah, I did. I absolutely forgot what I was about to say.
We're going to talk about some stuff. I think we're going to jump right to the bottom.
We were going to jump right to the bottom and say we've got our 8th birthday coming up.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
In about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
I had to move the date by 1 day, and there's 2 bits of collateral damage.
Yeah.
You and Deb and my broker co-people can't come along. So, but it's the Gold Coast Suns season launch the night before. I'm like, I'm a fucking corporate membership partner. Oh, I'm going to that. Sorry, team. We need to move it from Friday to Saturday.
And I can't make it because my beautiful wife's graduating from uni. So
good answer, mate. Paper, rock, scissors. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. That there'll be a heap of socials coming your way on Saturday, the 22nd of Feb. That was when we turned that week. 8th birthday.
Wow.
Geez, I'll tell you what, first and foremost, not many businesses last till 8 years old. I knew we were going to last. The military taught me the will to win and just had to bloody commit to something and just never say die. So we ain't fucking going anywhere. Let me tell you that right now. We're getting bigger. We're getting better. Like, look at the money and resources and effort and everything that's been spent on this place is phenomenal. So we ain't going anywhere. And I used to say when we were like 2, 3, 4 years old, I'm like, oh, we're starting to grow up a little bit, maybe going through high school. We've graduated uni now. We're in the workforce. We've actually got a proper job with the business as an adult. Stand by guy for what 10-year anniversary looks like.
Yeah,
It's going to
wow.
go off with a real bang, let me tell you. Tam and I are already putting steps in place to make sure that's an absolute cracker.
Wow.
So thank you for everyone for all your support over the years. It's been a real pleasure. I literally spoke to some clients today, where they're just about to start the build of their first property and are already making some inquiries and like, hey, what does this look like going forward? And I said, look, and before they pulled the trigger on making some changes, they're like, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? I'm like, I'm so glad you came back to me. As your coach, like I'm sure you've seen it in your short time here, even evidence 2 days ago, people just go and do shit without actually coming back and checking with us.
Yeah.
What does this mean for our property portfolio?
Yep.
But when they do come in back and check in and say, what do you reckon? It's a good feeling, hey.
It's a really good feeling. Someone actually checked in with me recently about, going to restructure some personal loans and things and said, hey, is this, what's your take on this? And I was like, mate, thanks for coming back and asking.
Yeah.
Let's jump on Zoom. We'll talk about a few things and, not financial advice, of course, but
Yeah.
just walk them through from an objective view. Hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And it really helps people expedite their goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're that 1 degree separated from what they do,
Yep.
then you can just have that objective viewpoint. It
Yeah.
just becomes absolute
Yeah.
God. And I just said to him, I said, look, I'll just call him John. I love the fact that I'm really good mates with clients that I met and I was getting to know, just like I'm getting to know you 7 or 8 years ago. And I said, now we're mates. We're not clients anymore. Don't have that relationship in the forefront of our mind, even though we may or may not be still providing services to them. But yeah, I said, and that'll be us down the track.
Yep.
And we're really getting off to a good foot. So yeah, it's off on a good foot. So, mate, we're only back in the office on the 13th of Jan. Literally 1 month ago tomorrow.
Yeah.
And how much has it been an absolute whirlwind at the start of 2025? What's been some
hasn't
of your
stopped.
highlights just broadly so far?
Well, I'm really enjoying this space. There's a couple of comments there about, wow, the new studio looks good.
Yeah,
it is a phenomenal room to be in, and we can't take any credit for that, of course.
I can.
Well, you can. Sorry.
I paid for it. Sorry, Tammy, you and I paid for it. The business paid for it. We paid for it. So, but no input on the design.
No,
I've
geez,
got,
no. Yeah.
I've got a couple of bloody trinkets around, and I've got my barrow over there, which you may or may not be able to see. But yeah,
Got the mighty 87 quadrant up there on the shelf.
and fast. Yeah.
Mate, it's often the same. It was the same last year. It's really just starting the year busy and talking to as many people as we can about, from all depths and breadths of their journey. But really, the ones that light my fire are the ones that are starting out and they want to go, hey, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Help me.
Great.
And I've had a lot of those already this year, which is fantastic.
Do you feel like there's a renewed vigor out there to say, all right, dust myself off, Christmas and New Year's now come and gone.
Yep.
It's 2025. I need to get my shit sorted.
Need
And
to do
you're all
something.
talking to some
Yeah.
new people coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Fantastic.
Conversely, I've been speaking to a bunch of people, like it's people that I met back in 2018, 2019, 2020, that bought 1 or 2 properties with us. Those properties have been sitting in the market all that time. They've got 200, 300, 400 grand worth of equity under their belt, and they're like, where to now? I'm like, fucking so good to see you. Like, I've been sort of following you a little bit more. I'm like, because people drop off and get busy and go do their
course.
shit or whatever. So, but yeah, it's been really good to connect with a bunch of clients that are now my mates, as I said, and I haven't spoken for probably 4 or 5 years. Natural. But yeah, it's just so good to connect with them again.
We had a big event in Jan this year.
We did.
We had a young pup come and join us.
I don't know
If I can call him that.
when the last time Justin was called a young pup, but I mean, I'm sure you've had your 2-year anniversary
Yeah,
since
that
then.
ticked over. Yeah.
So that's come around quick.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
And I'm sure you and Kieran that works here in the marketing department, it was a day or 2 before or after you. I'll bet you still remember your first couple of weeks. He's now in like week 3.
Yeah.
What is it? Give everyone a bit of an insight. What is it like when you're surrounded by the craziness of me and everyone else in the business, but we're just going boom, 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 boom. Every client's got a different circumstance. Every client's got a lot of uniqueness to it. There's always problems we need to solve. We're talking to the mortgage broker, we're talking to solicitor, we're talking to the builder, we're talking to the property manager. Like, it's fucking on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one day the jigsaw puzzle will make sense. But yeah, give us an insight to that.
I mean, the first 2 weeks at Axon, the jigsaw puzzle didn't make sense. I didn't know it was a jigsaw puzzle. And that's coming from someone who was a client first. But, it was, those first 2 weeks, I was just walking around going, wow, this is how it all happens back here. This is cool. But I liked, that fast-paced, highly complex environment, coming from the Intel world I was aligned with that straight away, and that was really appealing to me. But yeah, and I peer over and see Justin every now and then across the desk, and you can see him just deer in headlights doing some stuff. Oh shit, yep, okay, cool. And he's just drinking from the fire hose, which is cool. And he's a well-establised property investor too.
Yeah, so, yeah. Ex-infantry warrant officer, had 3 properties in his portfolio, still got 2 of them. Been through a bunch of awesome life circumstances. Did a couple of years as a drill sergeant down at Duntroon. So there's managing people and leadership and teamwork, at its absolute highest level. So yeah, welcome, Justin. I know that you are settling in really, really well. Someone in their yearly report actually said, "So why is it that we've recruited Justin?" I know I'm probably not supposed to say this, but I'm not saying who said it. I'm said it
anonymous,
was said.
Robbie.
So I was like, it is anonymous. It's like, who? What's the thing about? You know what I said? Because I told him about 3 or 4 years ago. I said, "Hey mate, you're a good dude. One day when you want to get out of the military, I'll be here for you." And that just happened to be over the last 12 months, and obviously late last year, et cetera, et cetera. So he's here. So that's why he's here, and
he's
now
right
he's getting his shit sorted. So love having you here, Justin. That's awesome. Let's press pause and go back and have a bit of a look. Like you said, a bunch of stuff saying. Kelly said the studio looks amazing. Paul Cooney, studio looks the goods, guys. Tammy saying the business might have grown up, but what about you, RT? No, not seen.
Jury's still out. Yeah.
And they were saying, January lasted 6 months for me. Tammy reckons, and we want to get your questions posted in there. The hottest topic, no doubt, though, is interest rates and what's going to occur. And, you and I are onto it, talking with Deb, watching Sky News, listening to all the different commentary, reading articles, you name it. So, mate, it's a real hot topic at the moment. And I know we have shot some content videos in here, and some of you have probably seen some of those content videos, but like here, in a live sense, nowhere to hide, no recording. Give you your take on interest rates, about sort of where they're at now and what the future might hold. And so maybe then I can talk about some of the fundamentals that underpin what some decisions might be with the RBA and APRA and the like going forward.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, the references that I go to will always be RBA, and the big banks are always often insightful, and some economists out there that you listen to. And, the consensus is that interest rates will come down this year, depending on who you align with. Some are saying when the RBA meet next, which I think will be next week, if I've got my dates right, or in May, I think is going to be the next potential interest rate drop. How much it drops, I mean, we know that inflation's been curved and it's now coming down, so that's a good indicator that the RBA should drop the cash rate, and then the banks will pass on the interest rate reduction, hopefully. And then that's obviously going to have some impacts on the property market.
Yeah. Well said, mate. That's perfect. Look, I think it's going to be before May.
Yeah, okay.
Because, look, at the end of the day, the target cash rate is now within the band that they were after.
Band, yeah.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Fucking let's get it done, team. Jesus. We've all ridden the elevator up. The elevator's gone sideways for the last 12 months. I know that elevators don't go sideways. And it's time now. It's in the green zone. When the green light goes on, with the 25-odd military jumps that I did, you jump out the back of the aircraft and fucking hold on. Why aren't we walking out the back of the aircraft together? So, look, I think it'll happen soon. I think it'll happen very slowly. I think then there'll be a total drop of interest rates over the next 12 months or so of about 0.5%.
Yeah.
And then that'll take it back to like the historical norm, and we'll more than likely sit on that for another couple of decades, like we did for a couple of decades, give or take, in the lead up to that small thing called COVID that happened.
I was going to say, unless someone else eats a bat in Wuhan. And
that's right. Someone said to me the other day, like, oh, but don't you reckon interest rates will go back down like where it was a couple of years ago? I'm like, no,
not a chance.
The only reason why that occur is if we have another catastrophic event.
Yep.
Now, you want that catastrophic event? No, I don't want that. I want interest rates to go down. Well, one equal the other, champ, so you can't fucking have both. So, look, I don't live my life through full rose-coloured glasses. I'm a realistic optimist, but certainly based on the trends and based on where we were before, what's happened during COVID and post-COVID, and what's occurred in inflation, I can't see a reason why the interest rates don't start to take a bit of a direction that way.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, you know, we're all waiting. You'll be the first to hear about it. We'll be in here drawing off about it, no doubt. But, yeah, certainly. And then someone also said to me, like, but that's going to make things cheaper, isn't it? Because interest rates, look, it's cheaper to borrow money. I'm like, no, mate. It's going to make things more expensive. That's going to fuel the housing market because if people can borrow more, they're going to spend more. They're going to go to auctions. There's going to be more buoyancy in the market. So certainly I would be, if you're able to, get a plan together and see if you can enter the market before, you know, the whole eighth ingredient, the eighth wonder of the world is consumer confidence.
And I mean, it's that saying that if you wait for, I read this the other day, if you wait for the interest rates to drop, you're already a bit too late. You might have missed that wave. So it certainly it will pay dividends to at least commence your planning and strategy now in anticipation for the interest rates to come down when they do.
Love it. All right, we've got a question. Let's press pause. Thanks so much, John and McKay. I'll just screen back and go, yeah, good. I probably won't be ready for another 12 months. Work and life got in the way. Hey, mate, par for the course, mate.
Good to hear from you, Jono, mate. It's been a little while.
What is the market outlook considering interest rates, housing market, and the future prospects in the Melbourne market? Bit of a loaded question, but I'm sure others in my shoes have been thinking the same thing. I think we just covered off on some of that then. Apologies, Jono, if I'm inside your OODA loop. You dropped that 3 minutes ago. We've just jawed off about something for 3 minutes, which covers off on something of that. And look, let's cover off in the Melbourne market for a second. It has traditionally followed the Sydney market for the last 45 years. Sydney market has continued to fuel pretty well because there wasn't a mass exodus out of the world's most locked down city during COVID. So there's a gap between the Sydney and the Melbourne market now, which hasn't existed for 3 or 4 decades. So therefore, there's an opportunity for the outlook of Melbourne is quite prosperous because there's good value for money right now. You can get a 4-bedroom house down there for like $660.
It's undervalued,
right? It's undervalued compared to other areas. And you ain't getting a fucking 4-bedroom house anywhere else in a decent area for $660.
No.
So certainly, Jono, we are in the Melbourne market. There's a couple of different growth corridors through there that you can speak to your coach or the team at Axon about. But yeah, mate, I think it's there's a lot of prospect for it down there.
And I think if you look at the future of the Melbourne market, something I was diving a bit deeper into earlier this week is the historical performance of Melbourne over the last 3 decades. And we've spoken a little bit about this before, but when you look at the capital cities and the regional areas of Australia, CoreLogic's data says that the Melbourne market as a whole has outperformed every other city in Australia. Over those 3 decades, it's grown by 390-something%, right? Which means it's about a 5 to 6% per annum growth. Now, that's not year on year because properties move in cycles. But when you look at the Melbourne market, it's outperformed Sydney over 3 decades. And when we see that gap that you're talking about, Robbie, in of the Melbourne market is pretty bright.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jono, hopefully that's answered your question there for you, mate. And then I had a question today. As Tammy said, I have a question today, how much someone needs to get started in property. So, yeah, I mean, that 4-bedroom home down in Melbourne for $660 is certainly there. But if someone's working in the high fives, let's call it between $575,000 and $600,000 price point, you'll get like a 3-bedroom terrace home. And many of you have seen on many of our success stories that have got like 150 square metre blocks of land with 130 square metre houses on them that have gone up by 150 grand. Why? Because the rising tide lifts all boats. So you've got to work within your budget, put it that way. I'd rather have 100% of something right now than 100% of nothing because you're waiting on, trying to get into a more expensive property, for instance. So work within your budget there. And I guess, generally you'll need about $75,000 to $80,000 to get started with a high 5s, low 6s property. So that includes your deposit. That includes your stamp duty. That includes your lender's mortgage insurance. And includes your solicitor fees. So if you got about that 75, 80 grand, then, and if you're even think about getting close to that this year, please get in touch and let's put a plan together and give you those milestones and give you those gates and give you that accountability. You're absolutely going to get there so much quicker. Geez, my wife Tamara is on fire tonight. Oh dear, RTE singing and we're not in 15 minutes. So, mate, I don't even think I've ever sung. How's that? Call me Mrs. Mate in a public forum. I've never sung on this.
I mean, you're singing and not swearing, so I don't know which is better.
I know, right? I am going really well so far. Boom, 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 boom. Let me keep scrolling through. Paul Cooney said, for my 5 cents worth, 2 rate drops, then federal election announced just coincidentally.
Yep.
Then there'll be a gap before the next. Probably not too far off there, Dog. Thanks so much, mate. That's Paul Cooney's nickname, by the way. I'm not calling him a dog just out of the blue. Yeah, I'm renting one of those corridors. Boom, boom, boom. Happy days. Like we spoke before, we're following lots of expert commentators in the property space that have been around a lot longer than 8 years. Whilst we are experts in our particular lunchbox and very niche space in helping defence members secure their financial future, one of the guys that I've been following for even before Axon started, he said this quote, and I want to read it out to you because it is a real, when you're talking about Axons, when you're talking about mindset, when you're talking about a sustained long period of time in the market, have a listen to this. Many property investors fail to benefit from long-term wealth creation. 20% sell within the first 2 years, 50% exit within 5 years, missing the compound benefits of strategic property ownership. And waiting for the perfect time to invest is probably going to be a mistake. That compound efforts that you just described, 30 years, 5% growth ain't hard to find if you really know what you're doing.
Yep.
Compounded over 30 years.
Yep.
Hold on to that sucker and let the market continue to do the market. Like those people that bought property 30 years ago are so happy that they've still got that property.
Yep.
I'll fucking guarantee you one thing. I don't hand out many guarantees, but that's one thing. And if there's been bought in the right area or bought in a area which has some potential for capital growth, 30 years is a long time. And, surely if you come to us as a 50-year-old, it doesn't need to be a 30-year plan because last time I looked, the banks won't want you to have a mortgage when you're 80-odd. So work with me here from a sort of realism perspective. But, the bunch of young people that come to us that are 30 and below should be wanting to play the 30-year game with this property.
Yep.
All right. Yep. So hopefully that's that little quote there really sung true. 20% sell within the first 2 years, 50% exit within 5 years.
Yep. It's huge.
There'd want to be some compelling circumstances to make that happen. In fact, it's one of the points I'm going to cover off soon, that there is some clients that have had some compelling circumstances, and I love the fact that we're part of it.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Little mini restructure.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's if you've got a portfolio, there will be times in your life when you need to restructure and rebalance, and it might be letting go of one of them. But if you can hold on to the majority of your portfolio for a couple of decades, that's where the juice is in the squeeze for sure.
For sure, mate. Love it. And then Nathaniel Wealth, Melbourne market is about to boom. Enjoy the ride. Thanks for dialing in down there, Nathaniel. Hope you're enjoying the info, mate. So we'll come back to the mini restructures. Boom, 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 boom. Let's do some myth busting. Sun Tzu.
Yes.
Know thy enemy.
Yep.
Know thy enemy. Keep an eye on what your other actors and players are doing in the market.
Yep.
And I just find it fascinating when you see some headline grabbing statements being made that you can just easily call bullshit on.
I think it's called clickbait.
Clickbait. That's
I think
the technical term for it.
Yeah.
But as a uneducated consumer, you're like, 8 properties in 10 years and the like. That sounds all right. And of course, you'd had a connection call with a gentleman this year.
Yes.
This year. Well, it is this year. It was this week.
Yep.
Which is part of this year.
Yep.
And I loved it what you said to him, and I love what his response was. And can you share it with us, please?
Yeah.
So that was a you are going to share it.
Yeah.
But can you?
Please. Young bloke reached out to us and had a chat to him earlier in the week, and when people reach out to us, they often put in a little bit of a message of what they're looking to achieve, and how insightful to really, that for us.
Yeah. If you're on this fence, you're like, we're thinking about reaching out to these roosters at some stage, please give us a little summary of who you are and what you do. Yeah. It's only going to allow us to be, all right, cool. We can now welcome, be a warmer start on the call.
Yeah. And, in his message, he said, I want 8 to 10 properties in 10 years. I thought, this is interesting. This is going to be a good chat. Young bloke in Brizzy. And we got to know each other over the call. And I said, look, mate, I'll give you the bottom line up front, even though we're not at the front anymore. 8 to 10 properties in 10 years is often unrealistic. And I said, we don't have any clients that have achieved that, notwithstanding we haven't tried to. And there's a number of reasons for that. But, I said, I'm not going to piss in your pocket and tell you it's raining. 8 to 10 properties over a 10-year time frame. You need to have a lot of income, a really, really high income for that to occur.
Zero consumer debt.
Zero debt. It's a very, complex environment or complex goal to achieve, and often an unrealistic one. And, he appreciated the honesty straight away in the first, 10 minutes of meeting him and said, yep, look, thank you for that. I like to shoot for the stars, and I just put that down there as my goal. And if we don't achieve that, we don't achieve it. But, he actually said, I wrote that in the message and then went and watched the videos and went, I did the digger thing and put that down. And now I've thought about it a bit more.
I love that. It's very self-aware, gentlemen.
Yeah, very self-aware. Yeah, absolutely. And he said, look, I'm ambitious. I want to be aggressive, but I know it's probably not realistic based off the videos that you guys have got and the chat that we've had. I said, that's no dramas, mate. Really, for us, it's all about wanting to achieve your goals. And for me, I want to know why, what's underpinning that goal or that, 8 to 10 properties. And if it's financial freedom or something similar, we can achieve that with far fewer properties.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, depending on borrowing. A really good portfolio of 3 properties will give you financial freedom.
Yeah, it certainly will. I actually put that forward in some of the case studies. And my wife hates me talking about this, but I'll just fucking say it anyway. Try and build some sort of wealth before you start a family.
Yep.
I'm not here as a family planner, but what the so what out of that is the banks know that kids cost money. Any dependent costs money, so it's going to cost you're not going to be able to borrow as much. So whilst you're double income, no kids, that the famous saying, make hay while the sun shines if you are able to. Because I've continued to see it time and time again. Unless someone, old mate generally, because the genetics say that mum's going to be on mat leave at some stage, if he's not earning 150, 60, 70 grand a year, you're not buying any more than 2 properties maximum if you're concurrently trying to grow a family. It just ain't happening.
Yeah.
Right? I'll go back to one of the points. I hadn't even thought of this while you were talking. The success story I did 2 weeks ago, Mick and Kate, if you remember, that just finished building their second property with us. They are bursting, double income, no kids. I'm describing this. Limited or no consumer debt, might have a $6 grand credit card or something. They are bursting to buy their third property. They're doing the wealth creation stuff with DHOAS Cosgrove. They've got diversity in their portfolio. They're really smart with their money mindset and money habits. Their Axons are working perfectly. And Deb's come back and said, it's not quite the right time for you to buy your third property.
Yep.
So there's an indication. They've got 2 amazing properties, got 150 grand each worth of growth in them. So they've got a very good net position. They just have to wait for that 0.5% interest rate to kick in. And then they'll be back in the game.
And, that's what I said. Interest rates the way they are, it's particularly as a single income investor.
Yep.
And I said to him, I know that there's people out there on the internet that are clickbaiting with that. And, when you dive into the strategies and people that achieve similar to that, it's a different strategy and it's focused on high rental yield and really low value properties in, regional areas that.
So you can have 8 $200,000 properties.
Of course. Yep.
No worries.
Yep.
But look and think about the likelihood of the quality of tenants that someone can pay $180 a week.
Yep.
That's a very generic term, I know, but just the likelihood of having quality tenants.
Yep.
You don't need 8 properties. Like, what a fucking headache. That's 8 different property managers and 8 different tax returns and 8 different cash flows and 8 lots of fucking maintenance. And it's going to be a full-time job. You're just trying to manage that.
Yep.
I love your point. 2 or 3 properties at the start of your portfolio, maybe then pivot to go start a family, come back and revisit it 10 or 15 years later once the kids are in school or, done whatever.
Yep.
Your portfolio is in such a buoyant position, and then you buy another 2, 3, 4 properties when where you go back to being double income, no kids again.
Yep.
And you're at a much higher earning potential because you should have gone up the ranks in some sort of endeavor. And if you haven't, that's okay. That's what, if you've been able to hold on to a job and you've still got a similar job 10 or 15 years later, except you, Daniel, you should be earning more money by then. So, I guess what am I saying there is, ladies and gents, creating wealth in your younger years will pay dividends to you immensely, but it ain't your only shot.
Yes.
We've had so many clients. I've had dozens of clients, almost said hundreds in, but that's fucking plus GST, plus. Dozens of clients over the years that have come to us in their late 40s and early 50s with adult kids or kids that are about to turn 18 and they're just getting started. And we're like, foot flat to the floor, let's go. And they can buy 2 or 3 properties pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
So, the show is not over. So, I'd love to learn more about what people think about that. So, let's go back. Say again, mate.
I was just going to say, speaking of Jace Cosgrove, there he is.
Oh, how good's the setup look? I want to run through a brick wall watching this. Well, I won't lie to you. That's whilst it looks like concrete, it ain't.
No, that's the magic of television, Robbie.
Hey,
don't knock too hard on that one.
Yes, live television. Jace, I'm glad you're here, mate. You too will spend some time in here when you come and do some masterclasses with us. So, we've got the great man. Jesus, we better step up our game.
Yeah,
because he is fantastic in front of the camera. Loves a good chat. Can do numbers. Is an amazing poet. And just all round GC here on the GC.
Yeah, I won't be here when he's in this room.
No, there's only 2 of us. What else we got there? Boom. Yeah, Tammy said the lending environment has really tightened up too. Geez, Tamara from the Gold Coast is really into it tonight. You should maybe book a connection call and speak to your property coach tomorrow. That'd be amazing.
It's Ryan.
Dude, one thing I can guarantee, a second guarantee for the night, she ain't coming to me for coaching. Not a fucking chance.
She's your coach, isn't she, mate?
She's more than my coach, let me tell you. You said another thing before, which links into one of our other points. Can't believe we're halfway through this already, and it just feels like it's flying along. Jesus Christ. Goals, focus, actions. Talk to us about a generic circumstance that you've had with some clients that were head first into buying their first property and then made some assumptions on things, and now it's derailed somewhat.
Yeah, some clients that I've been working with over the last probably 6 months. We put a plan in place last year. Part of that plan was some impending DVA. Claims have been submitted, as people out there are probably familiar with that process somewhat. And inbuilt to the plan, whilst not reliant on the DVA, because it's a bit of a dark art. We don't really know how it happens and how much it will be, depending on the assessments and stuff. But some form of DVA compensation for this couple was going to expedite their acquisition journey. And that was where we sort of left off 2024. And we're going to reconvene, obviously, at the start of this year, which we did. And unfortunately for this couple, the DVA compensation wasn't as much as they were hoping or assessing.
Well, there's that uncertainty you spoke about. No one knows what
you don't know. And they're getting some advocate advice, I guess, and recommendations on what that figure would be, and it was about half that. And in the meantime, or prior to the DVA compensation, they'd also, on the basis of their assessment of what they were going to get, decided to order a caravan, as well as
a little mini caravan.
No, a bit of a caravan that you jump around and go around Australia in. So, not a pretty solid one.
Okay,
I'm not a caravan dude. But,
me either.
But ultimately, and the leftover was going to be for property. They got a little bit of a smack on the fingers because they didn't tell me about the caravan when we put the plan together. So,
point to note, please, gents and ladies, and anyone else who wants to come and join us. Tell us what you need. Tell us what we need to know. A need-to-know principle is there will be a financial expenditure at some stage. Axon, please weave that into my plan.
And it is completely fine that they did that. They love that caravan. They spent Christmas in it. We just needed to build it into the plan. However, because of the assumption of the DVA, they're no longer in a position now to proceed with the property. It's elongated their savings timeline because they were committed to the caravan, obviously, and now we've got to adjust. So it was a bit of a difficult one, but it's also again another illustration of why it's so important to have a plan and coaching and guidance and that objective view that we're talking about at the start, to walk people through implications or not of decisions that they make.
And I remember you saying to me, "Thanks, mate. It's a good little story." And look, go fucking buy as many caravans as you want. No dramas.
No judgment,
but the what of it is that if you're unable to also enter the property market, which is the majority of the time people reach out to us, whilst we do hand out career advice, family planning advice, marriage counselling advice, although I need a lot of that. Don't put it in this chat, please, tomorrow again. But, generally we speak about property. Would they just need to know that if you're going to walk past this opportunity and come back in a couple of years' time, you want to love that caravan a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost you, your next property is going to cost you 50, 100, 250 grand more.
Yeah, it's for them, it's another 6 to 12 months. So, that's right, yeah.
Break. Daniel's got a question for us, buddy. Go for it.
Yeah, we do. We've got a question coming from Instagram. James Schmidt, could you speak to the difference in coming into Axon instead of, say, a standard buyer's advocate?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
I actually I think I had a chat to James today or yesterday. Yeah, he reached out to us. So
Good.
Yeah,
Regurgitate.
Yeah.
I love to hear it.
We didn't talk about that though, so thanks for the question, mate. The difference between us, right? So we've got, if you've watched our videos, you can see the meticulous planning that we put in place, that step-by-step process. And we've got effectively 10 steps in that journey. Now, if you go out and use a buyer's agent, they will essentially go out to a location and source a property for you, and then it's over to you to do the rest. Prior to that, no planning, no risk management, no education, and then post sourcing that or buying that property, you're on your own for the management of your portfolio, your property or your portfolio. And that's, the difference between us is all of the other support networks that we have that we give our clients.
For the life of the property.
For the life of the property.
Yeah, well said. I guess I'll wrap it up in a smaller way that a buyer's agent does this much for you. We do for more than what the fee is that works for us, and we do this much. So, when sometimes it's like, so what does that actually mean? What do you guys do? I'm like, we're like buyer's agents on steroids. If that characterizes it for you, we go find properties for our clients in the best locations, built by the best builders at the best price, and effectively that's what we do. So there's a huge difference between what we do. There's the broad function of what I just described, but it's actually only a very small part. It's the education. Buyer's agent does not educate you. Buyer's agent ain't here doing this, giving you stories from the trenches, letting you know what's going on with different clients. Buyer's agent doesn't care how the property fits in with the rest of your life from a sync matrix point of view. A buyer's agent hasn't got a plan for you. You got to go get your own borrowing capacity report done from your own mortgage broker. And as Ryan said, they don't help you throughout the build process, and they don't give a fuck how much tax you get back or whether you've even got a depreciation report. How many clients have we spoke to over the years that have used another buyer's agent firm, even ex-defense, and we're like, hey, how'd you go with the depreciation report? They're like, what's that?
What?
Come on, bro.
I had a couple.
There's a holistic is vital, and hey, welcome to veterans giving back to the defence space. When you're talking to ex-Intel and ex-SOCOM officer for 10 years, we know detail, we know risk management, we know what needs to be done. And when I'm talking about support for the life of the property, I mean for the life of the property. Literally, Angie is talking on the daily to clients that built properties with us back in 2018, 19, when naturally there's a couple of things that start to come up from a warranty point of view or whatever else. And they're like, what do we do now? And boom, she's there to answer their questions for them. What's that worth to you? A lot.
One of the clients I had actually said to me that day, so if it's for the life of the property and I pass away and my kids get the property, will you look after my kids? I said, of course, mate. Absolutely. Why wouldn't we? It's still your property.
Oh, I love it. All right, boom. Break. So it said, not to mention that many buyer's agents present you with a contract on day one without any diligence. Oh, fuck me. There's another story that happened over the last 48 hours I really want to tell, but I'm not going to. Or you're not going to.
No.
Paul Cooney, agreed, lads, having used buyer's agents advocates in both Melbourne and Sydney and now Axon, not only are the benefits of guys both mentioned, but it was also very good value in comparison. That's the whole thing I was doing with my spaghetti arms there, Paul. So thank you for that. And go for it, Daniel. We've got another question, have we?
Yeah, we got another one coming
James
from...
has got a follow-up.
No, we got another one coming from Instagram, and this one is from James Pateman.
Jesus, another James. That makes it easy.
Hey, gents, in terms of DHOAS, can a couple both served combine their DHOAS to receive a double subsidy or not? Thanks, gents.
That is a no.
Yeah.
The maximum subsidy is the maximum subsidy, and whether you're getting it through one person or whether you're going Harvey's in it, the maximum subsidy is the maximum subsidy. What I would caution you there is that if you don't consume or burn another person's year's worth of DHOAS subsidy, if you're only going to get 50% of it.
Yeah.
Again, comes down to long-term planning. The house you're living in now, if it's not your forever house, keep the other person's DHOAS in your back pocket and use those years for even subsequent to service.
Yeah. So you can put double DHOAS on it, but you get 50% of both, and
Correct.
it just doesn't make sense. There's no benefit to it. Yep.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep.
Bloody hell. That's. Let's talk about another. Was an ad hoc follow-up call that I did with a client today. He's like, what was the first part of it? He's got DHOAS on his previous property that he lived in.
Cool.
Right?
Yep.
Bought a house, built a house, whatever it was. Got his DHOAS on it in regional Victoria. That just happened to be where his partner, who's in the military, was posted at the time, doing a regional placement as a doctor. And they've still got the DHOAS on that other property. So they're consuming, burning up years worth of her DHOAS subsidy on it. They're getting like $500 a month because the loan's actually quite low.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I'm not here providing you financial advice, but would it not make sense? And he's like, but we want to be able to live in our own home one day and then probably be on tier 3 by then.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is what I would do. I'm not giving you any formal guidance and advice here, but I would press pause. I'll say, first and foremost, do you need the $500 a month to service that loan? He goes, no, it just sits there doing its thing. I'm like, well, sure, you're paying off the loan faster, but you're really not you've only got a finite period worth of years of DHOAS credits.
Yep.
So why not maximize them? Jesus, the fucking questions are coming in thick and fast. Why not maximize them by getting onto tier 3 and having the maximum dollar amount go to you, and whilst you're living in your own home, where the debt is non-tax deductible. And he's like, that's a fucking great idea. I said, look, that's my response to the problem you've given me, but that was my immediate sort of, hey, Johnny, on the spot, what would you do?
Yeah.
So I'd love to know what
Edwin
Edwin would also do in that situation.
Hey, Brad's reached out to us. Good to hear from you, Brad, mate. So he's got, what's the trigger that indicates you're ready to consider purchasing IP number 2? Is it, multiple choice, here we go. Is it X% of the loan of IP1 paid off, or amount sitting in an offset account, or waiting for IP1 to grow X%? What variables should you be focusing on to put yourself in a position to purchase a second IP sooner rather than later? Thanks.
Yeah, mate.
Belter.
Well considered.
Yeah.
I haven't had the opportunity to meet Brad.
Yeah.
But I know all about his circumstances.
Yeah.
And Brad, thank you so much for being part of our team, mate. The team do speak very highly of you. It's a bit of it depends. Everyone's circumstance is different.
Yep. So
depending on how much deposit and costs you put into the property to make it happen will depend on how much you got left over. Right? So it's not really about how much money's sitting in your offset account. It's not really about how much property is about to grow. It's all about, do you have sufficient borrowing power combined with equity from the growth of the first property or money left over from the deposit and costs that you may have to be able to then go and service another loan? It always comes down to generally the biggest hurdle that people are trying to navigate, or two of them, save up that 75, 80 grand that I spoke to Tammy about earlier to have your first deposit and cost ready to go. And then once that first property goes up in value, the next hurdle is, can you borrow enough money? As per Mick and Kate on the success story, I said, they can't quite borrow. And they've got heaps of equity, but the banks don't hand out that equity for free. You've got to be able to demonstrate to the banks that you can extract it and therefore pay it back as part of your total borrowing. So they can't quite borrow enough to get a third property. And they're double income, no kids.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that's my, again, Johnny on the spot response to those three
Yeah, and I think,
questions.
particularly for Brad, and it's a holistic view, like all of those things are factored in, but it comes down to borrowing, mate. And I know with you being in the Navy as well, we look at your ability to earn more over the next few years. Is it maritime disability allowance? All those things that we build into a sync matrix to really go, okay, this is our window of opportunity potentially, depending on borrowing, to leapfrog into the next one. But it all comes down to income and borrowing.
And let me tell you, James Smith, a buyer's agent doesn't give a fuck about any of this. So I'm sorry, mate. I'm not pulling the piss out of you. I'm making another valid distinction to answer the question you put forward. Go for it, Daniel.
All right, going back to DHOAS and also going back to Instagram, which we've got the most viewers joining us that we've ever had over on
Mate,
Instagram.
Is this another James or?
Mate,
No,
it's the
this is-
background. It's got nothing to do with this.
It's nothing to do with you guys, just the studio. This is from Joel. Does DHOAS schemes go up with the tiers? E.g., if you are on tier 1 and next year you are eligible for tier 2, can your loan subsidy get picked up for tier 2? I think what he's meaning there is he's already got his loan active at tier 1 and then he serves enough to be in tier 2. Does his loan automatically go up?
Well, yeah. DHOAS is a retention tool, and as you go, when you tick over the irrelevant qualifying years, if your loan amount is higher and then you go on a higher tier, check your bank statements and make sure that the extra subsidy should be going into your bank account automatically. That's best case scenario. It may well be that you need to ring the DHOAS website, ring the DHOAS hotline and go, hey,
I'm tier
please
2.
note, as my record of service will show, that you've got access to, I'm now in tier 2 because I've now reached X amount of years in service.
Yep.
My loan amount is this much here. Can you please now amend how much should be going into my bank account?
Yeah. But again,
I think that would be the two scenarios.
And it depends on how much is on the loan, as you said. You know, how much debt you've got. If you're under or over the threshold for the tier, you might not see a change. That all depends.
Daniel, can you put in the DHOAS Calculator link to our webpage, please? Because it's not just about the tier you're on.
Yep.
You've got it because again, even if you've got a relatively low loan balance, you can be on tier 3, but you still only might be, which means you're entitled to $1,000 a month. But that's only if you've got like a $700,000 loan.
Yep.
If you've only got a $300,000 loan, you're going to get a percentage thereof.
Yeah.
So there are a few other elements that go with it to make sure that that's going to be, that's going to come your way. All right. I hate saying it depends, but it does because there's a few different and again, just reach out to us. Can you just do me a favor and drop in the connection call? If there's people, I want to do a follow up here and chat about what we're going through now in a more intimate setting. I'm happy to do that. But clearly, the first port of call should be that people should watch our 4 20-minute videos on our webpage, which Daniel will also drop in the chat there. So just go straight to that because you get a lot of answers on the majority of your questions, but also there'll be an opportunity for them to book a connection call with Ryan primarily and or me, and then go, all right, cool, one-on-one setting. Based on what we discussed on the Q&A, based on the videos that you've watched, based on what it is you're trying to understand, boom, we're here for you. That's just, it's why I created the business, is to have these chats. And, because there is so many rumor and innuendo and misinformation about the ADF housing entitlements, even though some bullfeds are like, why fucking pay someone to do it for you? Just jump on the Pac-Man and jump on the website and do it yourself. I'm like, that we built by mid-year this year, none of them, no one would have had to, anyway, it's just,
we speak to people that, pardon my French, consistently, I was going to say fuck it up, but stuff it up.
Did you just excuse yourself for swearing?
I think I did. That was random.
Amana's going to be so unhappy at you.
Wow. Feel dirty. Need a shower.
Oh, funny. Jesse Huggins has said, hi, Freya Davis. Hey, Robbie, did you get our Christmas card? I'm worried that I sent it to the wrong place. Freya, let me come back to you on the side. I don't recall getting a Christmas card from you, and I am very sorry if we had, because we did move offices, 12, 13, 14 December or something?
Yep.
No. It was after that because we were gone into Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We got back on the 13th and then we moved real soon after. So yeah, anyway, Freya, probably not is the answer, buddy. Sorry about that. Hope you and Zach are having an awesome time down in Newcastle, which is an amazing place to live. Mate, we've covered off ones. We've only got another 10 minutes to go. Thank you so much for all your questions. It's been kicking out. Here's another one. Tristan. Boom, boom, boom. Righto. Let's kick into this as well. We're here. It's called live Q&A for a reason. It's also called live jaw-off session with you and I.
Yeah. You've definitely got the cues from the Q&A this week.
I love it. Yes,
awesome?
Yes. Yes, Freya says you'd remember if I did. You want to read it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it to you so you can answer?
Go for it. Yeah,
you can answer? Yeah. Matty Cook said, hey, lads, good to see you. Matty Cook, Jesus, what a review you left recently.
With photos. All right.
There's so many people that make so many comments. When I say that, it's every 6 months. For that to me is a lot. They're like, oh, these guys are full of shit. They just pay their mates to write the reviews for them. Like it's not actually really, it's not a review. And then we read something that what you and Bree have put forward there, Matt, and I'll tell you what, it's fucking just phenomenal, mate. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for the way you're able to express yourself. And certainly between Ryan and I, we will create a success story with you guys soon.
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to put all of that in the success story because I'll exceed the character limit on every platform, but we'll certainly get the good bits out of it, mate, and rip it on there. So, Tristan, we took out a 20% equity release for our family home to buy IP1.
Out of our family home, yeah.
Yep, no dramas. IP1 is about to be complete, and we are now considering selling our family home to buy a bigger place. Teenage boys need more room. No issues. But the equity release is a tax deduction. If we sell and buy, will we lose that tax deduction? Any suggestions on how to keep the tax deduction? Look, at the end of the day, if you are selling the security of where that money is attached, then the tax deduction will no longer apply because you won't have the debt.
It's gone. The debt's gone.
Though you have to clear the debt.
Yep.
Because you have the original loan. So you have selling price minus original loan minus equity loan will need to be paid back to the bank, and you're going to be left with a profit. So I can't see a way there. That's based on specific additional advice from an accountant. I can't see a way how you would be able to keep that tax deductibility unless there was a way, depending on how the loan was structured, that you could transfer that debt down now onto the IP number one.
Yep.
Without breaching any loan-to-value ratio requirements from the bank. So there's
yeah.
another bit of a it depends, but I'll say on face value, if you're going through a sale process, it's unlikely unless your mortgage broker can do what it is. If mortgage broker and accountant can find a way to transfer that debt and therefore keep the tax deductibility.
And Tristan, when that build's complete, mate, we'll catch up and we'll put a plan in place and we'll talk about that. We'll bring Jason Deb on board and we'll see what we can do.
Love it. Okay, beauty. Go for it again, Daniel.
Yeah. Another DHOAS one. Hey, gents. This is from Luke Baldacchino. Hey, gents. Some blokes were talking about if it's possible to get the DHOAS lump sum and then take it out and put it into an offset. Is this possible and is it worth doing?
Do you remember what I said before about misinformation, rumour, innuendo?
Short answer.
Getting crafty over here with that.
Oh, no.
I love it.
I love people that want to be crafty. I think it's bloody excellent.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about a crafty situation in a second. I just remembered from a couple of years ago. But yeah, what's your take on that?
Well, mate, I'll give you the bluff is no, you can't. Now, the reason for that is when you are, well, I mean, technically you could, but in terms of being an optimal way to do it, I don't think it would be an optimal strategy to take out your lump sum, burn 4 years of credits, and it also depends on where you are in your service.
You can't just take it out. You've got to extract it out, and then you've got to be able to, that's extra debt you've got to be able to repay.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to pay principal and interest on that debt. So you'd still have to be paying some money out of that. Yeah, I think it might be worth crunching the numbers, but on face value, when you're trying to be super crafty like that, it generally never works well in your favour. I was happy to be stood corrected. No one's asked us this before, Luke, so apologies I don't have the answer on the spot here. But yeah, one of the crafty guys at one was like, he goes, I'm thinking about getting the Padre loan for $5,000 and putting that in my offset account. I'm like, what do you want to do that for? He goes, it's free money, $5,000 sitting in the offset account. I said, righto, this is young Mitchell. I said, Mitchell, you've just been promoted to Sarge, so I'll go back. What is the Padre loan there for? He's like, it's to help people out in financial difficulty. I said, you've got 2 properties. You're probably about $400,000 in front net position. Are you in financial difficulty? He goes, no. I said, well, so if someone found out that you took $5,000 out of the pot of money, which was set aside to help people in financial difficulty to put in your offset account, how's your credibility going as a senior NCO when they find that out? Yeah, don't worry about that, Oddie. Fucking scrapped it.
And I think more, I'm thinking more about that problem set too. You're taking 4 years out at tier 1 to put in an offset account to reduce an interest rate of, whatever percent. Where if you maintain those credits, let's say you're tier 2 or tier 3, over those 4 years, what's the difference in DHOAS that you're going to miss out on? This is also dependent on how long you've served, of course. But you'd really have to crunch the numbers and go, well, is it worth 4 years of tier 1 to save on that bit of interest versus X amount of payments at the back end of the DHOAS loan? Yeah, so it's a tricky one. I like the craftiness of it, but gut feel is it's probably not an optimal way to do it.
Yeah. All good. Thanks very much, Luke, for sending that through, though. And thank you also, Kelly. P.S. We moved in late November. There's someone who knows her dates and is so detailed and such a great support for the whole rest of the team. Don't we, Daniel? As soon as there's an issue in the office, someone's like, Kelly, can you help us, please? Thank you so much, Kel, for keeping me accountable and making me look like an absolute fucking fool on live TV that I don't know when we moved into our new office. But, hey, the dates are the dates, and I'll wear it on the chin. Thank you. What's that you're going to say, mate?
No, never mind.
Good idea. Well done. Well done. He's like about to say, yes, you are a fucking buffoon. One thing I want to talk about quickly in the last 5 minutes, this is what I've loved being a part of the mini restructures in the lead up to last year, and there's already been 2 this year. 3 now. Deb's actually given them a positive ping back. That clients are now doing a mini restructure and selling 1, 2, in some cases 3 investment properties that they've bought with Axon over the previous years to pivot towards buying their own home. And I love being a part of that. It is so good. And I said, look, so Deb's run a scenario. Keep 1 investment property. Keep all 3 investment properties. Does that work? No. All right. Peel 1 away. Walk away with 150 grand cash. Does that work? No, that doesn't work. So, there's been a tiered approach, a stepped approach effectively to make sure that wherever possible, people can hold on to the portfolio as well as live in their own home. But at the end of the day, the military people out there appreciate this. The main effort is the main effort. If the main effort is living in your own home and you've had to sell some of your properties to make that happen, like Tamara and I sold 5 properties to make sure we can live in our home of choice down here, that's what you do. Now, it doesn't mean if the investing game is over for you forever. You're just borrowing so much less money and you've got a huge deposit. Therefore, you're going to be able to pay off your home loan quicker. So doing those mini restructures to move with the shifting priorities and evolving events in one's life is always going to be on the table. Counter to what we spoke about last time, keep your properties forever, but it shouldn't come at what is the needs of your family unit in the here and now.
Yeah, I think going back to the not holding properties for as long as you can is people selling, trying to time the market. It's different if you've got to rebalance and restructure for family needs and lifestyle choices.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, there was one of our clients who's like, I'm thinking about selling that property. And I'm like, what for? He goes, I reckon it's probably run its race. I'm like, not a fucking chance. If you've still got that property in another 10 years even, you are going to be so glad. I'm like, do not fucking sell that property.
Yeah.
So anyway, but none of us have got a bloody crystal ball, mate. Hey, I'd love to know what everyone thought about that little, grenade in the trench success story.
Yeah.
That was one of your clients actually about, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, boom, 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 boom. So we've only got 3 minutes to go. It's probably a little bit too long for that one, hey.
Yeah, we'll keep.
There's been a lot of coaching sessions and a lot of interaction with that amazing lady who is so thankful that she's reached out to us just to shoot the shit and talk with some experts about what the different options are to allow her to get a better outcome, which has been really, really clear. And the last thing actually I want to talk about is we've had one of our clients that decided to do a bit of a U-turn and go, I don't think property's for me. I'm going to do the share market instead.
Yep.
Rip through it, mate. There's 6 key things that people need to be aware of, and then we'll do a proper we'll do a proper content piece on this.
Yeah. Shares
versus property, but from you go the first 3 and I'll go the last 3. There's 6 major differences that everyone must understand.
Yeah, and this activity allowed them to realise that they might prefer shares based off a number of factors, but if you're undecided and you want to learn about the differences and the pros and cons of property versus shares, the 6 sort of tenets, I guess, that we're talking about. So the first 3 that I've got are leverage, volatility, and tangibility. So property, you can use leverage to your advantage. You can borrow funds from the bank to go and acquire a $600,000-$700,000 property with a 10% deposit. So you've got maximum leverage to get into the market. Now, if that property of $600,000, $700,000 grows 10%, hey presto, you've made $60,000, $70,000.
You can't do that with shares.
You can't do that.
You can do some small margin loans, but you can't borrow 90% of it.
You can borrow, but you can't leverage yourself that much. And then there's things like margin calls, and you can find yourself in a fair bit of strife. Yeah, and that leads into volatility, because if you have borrowed for shares and it is a highly volatile market that goes up and down every second of the day, and we're not even talking about crypto.
Imagine if the property market was like the share market. People would be shitting themselves every day.
And if you've got a loan out on that and there's a margin call, you've got to come up with what you owe quick smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And naturally, the property market is a much more stable asset to invest in. Yeah.
And it's tangible as well. You've got a bit of bricks and mortar. And I just talk about you're not in control. If Elon Musk or Vladimir Putin or now Donald Trump fucking puts a tweet out, it's going to affect the share market. You have no influence. There's different cash flow. There's different returns, different tax structures that go with it as well. Yep. We are out of time. Thank you so much for listening. Rhino, amazing job as always. Daniel, thank you for this. Thanks for listening. Loved all of your stuff coming through. Grateful looking after my friend who lobbed you on the grenade. That's Brady Smith. Thank you, mate. See you all in another month or so. I think it's the 8th or 9th of March. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. And this rooster and me will be sitting here drawing off with another